You just spoke about the Marlins, and I was talking about Yamamoto, and it was Jazz Chisholm that hit that home run on the first pitch that he saw. So that'll lead in to our topic today, MLB reunions. And I'm going to save the best one. I don't know for last, but I'll save it for a little bit. If you saw the thumbnail on YouTube, you know where we'll eventually get to, or if you saw the tweet that we put out. But let's start with Jazz Chisholm. So a lot of people might not remember Jazz Chisholm was once a farmhand for the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Marlins are clearly selling. The white flag has been waved. They're going to move pieces, and Chisholm could be moved. What if Jazz Chisholm gets to play with Zach Gallen, who he was traded for? Horrible trade by them. Not a horrible trade, but not the best trade from the Marlins. I think you'd prefer Zach Gallen over Jazz Chisholm at this point, right? I'm not off base in saying that was a bad trade.
No, absolutely not. It's been one side. I mean, when they first came over, it was you like the upside of both these guys, but now 2-3 years in, we're still waiting on that upside for Jazz Chisholm. It hasn't been there, whereas Zach Gallen is pitching in the World Series, and we talk about him as an ace because that's what he is.
Yeah, for sure. So you still have Gallen there, headline that rotation. Could Jazz Chisholm end up back in Arizona? It's an interesting fit. They could use a bat in the middle of their lineup. I'm not exactly sure where they'd play him defensively. I don't know if he's bumping Alec Thomas from center. I really don't know, but I just like the idea of Jazz Chisholm bringing some electricity to that lineup in Arizona, and just more from the Marlins side of it, just what it would take to have to kind of take that L. I don't think Peter Bendix really cares about it, but to end up sending it right back to the team that you traded for to get him.
Well, keep in mind, in some of these trades, teams are getting something for nothing. And would it totally shock you if, by a certain series of events, not so much on the field play, but a series of events in which the Marlins end up just cutting ties with Jazz Chisholm? He struggles with kind of meshing with his teammates. He works out on his own. There was that interview during the offseason where he's basically saying, yeah, I just kind of, I go out early before anybody shows up, and then I take a nap for 2-3 hours, and he's missing team meetings. So he doesn't really gel very well. So, the Marlins might say, hey, our clubhouse kind of needs a makeover, and it would go a long way to not have Jazz Chisholm here. Well, if the writing is on the wall that they might have to just get rid of him and non-tender him next season, it wouldn't be a total shock. You might as well trade him now. And Mike Hazen, GM of the Diamondbacks, might be able to get creative and say, look, we can give you a little bit something. Maybe it's some international bonus pool money, maybe it's a competitive balance pick, whatever it might be. It might be a win-win situation where Jazz is, kind of sitting on the bench, but increasing his value on a quality team, and the Marlins get to have some spring cleaning, so to speak, in that clubhouse. I could see it happening. I like this one, Ryan.
Yeah, I think the Jazz is going to move. I don't know for sure if the Diamondbacks would be the team. It is kind of hard to find. I know that Just Baseball Show was talking about today, and they were pointing to Kansas City as the landing spot for him, which makes some sense. Another team that can use a bat. But I think the bottom line here is the Marlins are going to be moving a lot of pieces. And when you look at Josh Bell or Tanner Scott, some of the guys that are going to be free agents, I don't know how much those guys are going to bring in. Jesus Luzardo is probably the prize ticket, but even trying to trade like an Edward Cabrera or a Trevor Rogers, I don't know how much value those guys have, as they haven't established themselves completely as quality MLB starting pitchers. I think Jazz Chisholm, outside of Luzardo, might be their second best trade chip, which might say something about where this fire sale is going to go. But he's got 2 more years of control beyond this, and I could see teams talking themselves into Jazz Chisholm, saying, look, he was bad there. That's a horrible clubhouse to be a part of, bad situation. Let's get him in our environment, winning situation, and we'll get the most out of Jazz Chisholm. And he could be a spark plug. I could see Jazz Chisholm being a guy that really helps the team in the second half.
Yeah, no, I love this concept, especially, when, as you said, he's got 2 more years of team control. And on a guy like him, he might just need to change of scenery, right? Do the Marlins still look at him as a player with a ton of upside, or do they have to just kind of get what they can for him right now? I think AJ Puck is kind of in that similar vein with 2 more years of team control after this season. So you're not trading when the stock is high, but you might be able to identify the fact that the the stock is going to get a little bit lower. So, hey, might as well do something now. Teams are having those extra years of club control, might be willing to put a little bit more out there. And again, in the right system, you say, hey, this guy can really excel. And we saw it last year with Tommy Pham in that same Diamondbacks clubhouse. I mean, I was there for it, covering that entire October, and Tommy Pham was great. I actually enjoyed talking with him a ton. He was great to me and great to his teammates, and he really seemed to have fit in a way that I didn't really see in the past in some other clubhouses. So, maybe the Diamondbacks clubhouse is that perfect fit. Torey Lovello does an amazing job of building a community and a family with his players. So I think Jazz going back to the Diamondbacks, that really could be a big win for both sides.
Yeah, it's a young team, and Chisholm kind of falls in the middle of being a little bit older than some of the youngest guys, but also they have some veterans like Jock Peterson that are in there. Jock Peterson, another great clubhouse guy. So I think that would make the Diamondbacks a little bit more fun.